Goddess Saraswati. My pranam to Mother and Sri Aurobindo. And good afternoon to all present here. First of all, I would like to thank everyone from the bottom of my heart for giving such a beautiful vibration. And the name itself suggests, the name of the institution itself suggests that such we can expect this spiritual vibration over here. Thank you so much. So, as there is no doubt for us, because Sri Aurobindo and Sri Aurobindo especially is not unknown to you all, right? All of you are aware of Sri Aurobindo? Yes. So just a quick mental exercise. When was Sri Aurobindo born? 15th August. He shares his birthday with the Independence Day of India. So as we just heard, it is said that we are not free. India is free, but we are not free. Is it true? How many of you think you are free today? Those who are confident will raise hands like this, not half. No? Okay. Are you sure that you are scared? Like somebody will snatch your freedom if you say you are free. And why do you think you are not free? Who is controlling us? Yes? One by one you can answer, just 3-4 answers will be enough. All of you please be silent. One of you can answer. Who would like to answer? Raise your hand. Who would like to stand up and answer? 420 students. No hand. Yeah.
I think it's a mindset that limits us to what we can do and what we can't do. And when we think we can't do something, that's when our freedom is limited.
That was indeed a beautiful answer, because usually students answer, our parents control us, our teachers control us, but very truly said, very rightly said that it's our mindset. It's the mindset which gives rise to fear. It's the mindset which gives rise to all kind of unnecessary nature within us, isn't it? How many of you present here are, you like to wake up early in the morning or every day? Okay, the number is quite good. Yeah. Down please. Even if, please be quiet, it's just an interaction, you can interact with us. So even if it's a holiday, when it's like you have no school, no classes, what time do you get up? It's little, okay. Alright. So it's little late than the school days, right? What is it that obstructs us from waking up? Laziness, our inertia, our lack of interest in waking up, isn't it? So these are the qualities that have pulled us, that have kept us bound. But do we actually want to possess the laziness within us? We don't want it to stay there. Okay, how many of you have never got angry in your lifetime till now? Never? Alright. So all of you have anger? Can you show it to me right now? You are not triggered enough to be angry. So nice. But if I ask you to smile right now, can you? Yes. Because this is exactly what is within us. Sri Aurobindo says that man he yearns for freedom. He wants complete freedom but somewhere he is in love with his chains. Our situation possesses us like anger. It is situational. Fear. It is situational. Are you afraid now? There is nothing to be scared of. It is until and unless you have exam or you have to think about your future. Or there are many factors which creates fear among us. So this is what Sri Aurobindo says, that now the time has come that man has to rise above the bondages. So this was his dream for the entire world. So on 15th August 1947, we know what happened. That was the year when India got its freedom. So on 14th August 1947, another great event happened. What was that? Pakistan, formation of Pakistan. So Sri Aurobindo was asked to deliver a speech on All India Radio about the freedom of India on 14th August, which will be telecast on 15th August. So there he says about his 5 dreams. If I ask, do we all have dreams? Do you have dreams? It's not the dream about we see all random dreams we see in the night. It's a dream which does not let us sleep. Like Abdul Kalam had said, there is no harm in dreaming. So, do you have any such dream? Great dreams? Have? Yes, anyone? What's your dream? What's your dream?
My dream is to be successful in everything I do. I'm still figuring out what I want to do as a profession. But basically, in the end, it's like being successful and making my parents proud and paying them back, making my teachers proud.
Good. Anyone else? You can stand in your place and be louder. Yes? Anyone, just share what you want in life, as she said. No one? You are not ready to share your dream? Yes? Just.
I think that life is a continuous journey of Ma'am, I think that life is a continuous journey of exploration, so I don't really have a set dream in life.
Actually, such kind of answers, such kind of responses from you, it will help us to move ahead with the discussion. Thank you so much. Because till now, whichever schools we visited, and the answer was very common, like to become so and so, to become engineer, doctor. But yes, as he rightly said, life is an exploration. But dreams are also not limited. As we say, when we talk about dreams of great men, what is the difference between us? He very rightly said that dreams are not limited, and it's a journey. Life is a journey, and it keeps changing. But what is the difference between the dream we see and the dreams of great men?
It's not different. They make it happen.
Okay. Your name is? Mansi said that they make it happen and we just dream. Anyone else? So the difference, you can just move forward. The difference is that when great men see something, their dream is something which has already happened. It is, they have seen the future which is going to happen in the present. In future, they have already seen the future which is going to happen, and they are putting that thing in front of us in the present. Okay, so therefore their dream is not dream but a vision. It's vision, it's called vision. That's why, as Swami Vivekananda, he had a vision of India. How did he visualize India as? During 1800s, during 1800 and early 1900s, what was the position of India? It was a slave in the eyes of British. And everybody, the whole nation looked at India as a slave. But during that time, Swami Vivekananda says that I see India, my country, as the emperor of the whole world, as the guru of the world, enthroned in her throne. She is blissfully seated in her throne, and she is ruling the entire. She is guiding. She is leading the entire world. So these things are called vision. They are no more dreams, but realities which will soon happen. So similarly, when Sri Aurobindo was asked to deliver his speech on India for 15th August 1947, there he says, like, I have got a beautiful gift on my birthday. The divine has given a nice gift on my birthday, and what is that gift? Freedom of India. Then again he pauses and he says, although I have got this gift, but the God has given this gift to me in parts. I haven't got it fully. See, it is all in parts. So he said, although India is free, but it's not the total and complete freedom that we have achieved. So there, on that day he says, today I would like to share my dreams with you all, with the entire nation, with the whole world. So he said, for my first dream, Sri Aurobindo says, you can see, to have a free and united India. You see this map? Is this, which kind of map is this? Is this the current map of the India as it is now? You see some difference? You see it a larger picture or a smaller picture as compared to now? A larger picture. That's what Sri Aurobindo says, that for India to serve its aim in the world, for India to be able to fulfill its true goal, to reach its goal in the world, it has to be united. Although it's free, but it's not united, because till the time India is crippled, it won't be able to fulfill its position, to fulfill its aim, to reach its aim in the world. If a person has lost his hand, he has lost his leg, will he be called a complete man? The effort is, there is no lack in his effort, but how much ever he tries, somewhere we feel there is a loss, isn't it? Like I will just share, when we went to a blind school, the kids were really expert in everything. They were very successful in dancing, in math, science, literature, everything they were expert. But the teachers, they said, although they could do everything, they could read, they could write, they could do everything, but one thing what they cannot do till now is, they cannot distinguish colors. Okay. Somewhere or the other, why God has given such, why God has created us like this with all the parts. He has designed us very sensibly. Similarly, even the country, it also has a complete picture, it also has a physical identity. So that's what Sri Aurobindo says, since now India is crippled, it won't be able to fulfill its true position in the world. So in order for India to fulfill its true position, it has to be united. So these are the countries which will unite with India. The 8 countries, as you can see, is it visible to you all? It's Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, Pakistan, Burma, Tibet, Sri Lanka. Okay, all these countries will unite with India to form the Akhand Bharat. So this is the map of the Akhand Bharat, which has been visualized by Sri Aurobindo and Swami Vivekananda. So, and it is to happen. This was Sri Aurobindo's first dream. Now, then he says, even if India is united, now then again she has a greater role. What? Asia, the rise of Asian nations. Not only India, but all the nations of Asia will be uplifted. They will be liberated. They will form a confederation to serve the greatest purpose in the world. And as we can take it for example, many years back, a tragedy had happened in Japan. What was that? Hiroshima and Nagasaki, please. Then after that, did Japan remain in that position? Or do we call poor Japan? Have you ever seen somebody say poor Japan? It is now one of the most powerful countries in the world because then even after numerous cyclones, tsunamis and earthquakes in Japan, it has always been successful in rising up again and again. Similarly, India, if we see many years back, it's not required to go many years back. Just imagine India 50 years back and imagine India now. Isn't there a difference? Isn't it? You can see in the field of technology, science, culture, every field, there is lot of difference. So that's what Sri Aurobindo says, that the Asian countries, Asian nations will rise. They will be liberated. They will work according to their own nature of work, but the goal will be one. We will come to the goal in the end. So, if I ask you how many countries are there in Asia, any idea? How many nations are there in Asia? around 49 or 50 as the name said. Roughly, we can calculate from 46 to 50. So, all these nations will come together, they will work for a common goal, but although the nature of work will be independent, but they will rise again towards that supreme goal together. Then Sri Aurobindo says, what is that goal? Here also India has a greater role to play. It is again a more complete union, that is world union. The entire mankind will come together, will unite himself for a greater union. Can we imagine that all of us will be united one day, the entire world will be united? Is it possible to imagine looking at the conditions right now? The wars between Russia and Ukraine, our war with China, all these things, is it possible like India, the whole world will be united? But do you think that yes, someday it will happen? How many of you have the confidence? Yes, that's very true for us. It's very natural for us to not have that confidence, because as long as we think in our mental level, as long as we can see in a family, the brothers, parents, children are not able to unite together, they are not able to stay together. How can we think about the whole world? But if we go back in time machine, is this for the first time that someone is speaking of world union? Where did this originate from? It originated from our Vedas. The rishis, what was their prayer? They, what we say, Sarve Bhavantu? That means did they pray only for themselves? It was for the entire mankind, for everyone. So this aspiration, Vasudeva Kutumbakam, it didn't originate recently. It is an aspiration right from ancient ages. But Sri Aurobindo says now the time has come for it to be true. But how? As I said, if we consider ourselves, the fights, the wars, where do they rise from? What is the source? Our mindset. What else? You and I. Isn't it? What is that? I want this. Then he says, I don't want this. What does the I signify? Yes? Have you heard difference. Our ego, our mindset, that is what has kept us separated from being united. But is there somebody on whom we can hope when we don't see any way, any path is not seen to us? To whom do we call? It's on whom do we look upon? God. So that's what Sri Aurobindo says, that a portion of the divine is within us, which is called, what do we call which is within us in the form, seed form? Atma or soul. So till the time we are not united with the soul, when we go beyond mind and we are united with the soul, till then these differences will occur. But the time will come when we will be united by our souls. So this is when the true union will happen. Then Sri Aurobindo says, all this in one's, for this, you can see this place. Is it visible? And any of you, do any of you have any idea of this? Yes. It's called Aurobindo. So mother, when as you saw the picture, the Divine Mother, she had a dream that there will be a place on earth where there will be no differences. People will live beyond religion, beyond caste, beyond any creed, and they will work but not for money. But for now, what is money for us? Life. It's the Supreme Lord, what Mother says. But if we imagine, even before we existed, people did exist, but was money that important for them? There was no money, there was no system of money. But now we feel it is we who possess the money. But Sri Aurobindo, in one of his madnesses, in one of his letters, he expresses that how much money, whatever wealth is there in the world, it belongs to the divine. It belongs to God. God is the possessor. He is the owner of all the wealth of the world. And whatever I am earning, it is a share of the God that I am getting. And whatever I use, it's only the base, the necessity. Whatever is necessary for me, it's only that I should use. And if I am using a penny more than what is necessary, then I am using the portion of God's money. And if you are using somebody else's wealth, what should we be called? That's what Sri Aurobindo says. If I am using a penny more than my need, then I am a thief because I am using God's money. So that's what the mother says. It's a dream that there will be a place where people will work not for money but for a highest truth, for the supreme truth. And with that dream, she started a place, the construction of a place called Auroville, which is 9 kilometers away from Pondicherry. In Auroville, while its construction, the soil from 126 countries were brought together to lay the foundation. Then now, people from all over the world come and stay there together to build for a greater cause. They work upon many innovative things. They have carried out many different inventions and discoveries, but in a very silent way. That is because it's not for ambition, to fulfill their ambition, but to establish, to manifest the divine upon earth. That is what is their aim for which they are working on. And so Mother said, then Mother was once asked a question, then what about the wars? Why do wars happen? We think that wars happen for a better cause. After the war there will be peace. But do we have permanent peace till now? Why? Is there a difference between the wars we see now and the war of Mahabharata? The battle of Mahabharata? Is there a difference in that? What is the difference? What is the difference between Arjun and us? Yes? They fought for truth. Yes, anyone can answer? What did Arjuna fight for? Whom did he fight against? His own men, his own relatives. But was he willing to fight at the beginning? On whose instructions did he fight? Krishna. So that's what, and it took Krishna 18 Adhyaya, as we say, no? 18 chapters to describe him, to explain him why this war is needed. And as he fought with the Kauravas, with his own relatives, with his own teachers, his own gurus, what was the attitude that he had towards them? Was it of hatred? Was it of revenge? Not revenge. That time revenge was all gone. It was only because Krishna had instructed him to do so. And what did Lord Krishna, what did he have for the Kauravas? Did he have hatred? It was full of love and compassion. So this is what Mother says. When we say that I love my country, that means what feeling do I have for other countries? Hatred, bad will. So until and unless this feeling of hatred and bad will is not eradicated from our feelings, from ourselves, till then wars will happen and there will be no permanent victory. So when the wars will be fought with full of love and compassion and goodwill, it is only then that we can achieve permanent victory. Then the fourth dream, Sri Aurobindo says, all this will happen, but who will show the light to the whole world? There has to be a leader. And who will lead the world? It is India. India will be the guru, will be the spiritual guru of the whole world. Why? Because what India has that no other nation has. Sri Aurobindo says India has a soul. It is a living entity. When there was struggle with the Britishers, Sri Aurobindo says India is not for me just a piece of geographical piece of land. It's not only about mountains and rivers and valleys. What do we call India as? Bharat Mata. And when do we say Mata, do we have that feeling within us? Our own mother who has nourished us for so long. So that's what Sri Aurobindo says. Until and unless we have united our soul with the soul of India, till then we are not true Indians. And what is the nature of India? What virtue it possesses? Sri Aurobindo says it is full of compassion. Because till now, how much ever goods she has got, how much ever pain she has got from other nations, she has never returned them back with the same attitude. Rather, she has made them a part of herself. She has never thought of taking revenge. India has never taken revenge from her enemies, so-called, which we feel to be enemies, but it has embraced all of them together to make a part of herself. So this is what is the glory of India, and India will be the leader. Spiritual leader means, what do you understand by spirituality? Anyone? Yes? Anyone can answer. What do you understand by spirituality? Yes? You can. Anyone from that side? Yes. Please answer. One by one. Connection with our soul.
To possess intellectual and divine knowledge.
Yes. Thank you. Ami. Yeah.
A spiritual leader is someone who educates people based on his definitions of spirituality and
how we can connect.
You are talking about spiritual leader. Okay. Done? Very nice answers you got from all. But there was one common word in all the answers. Spirituality is connected to whom? God, to divine, as I said. So is divine limited in any way? Can we say divine does not know mathematics? Divine does not know mathematics? Then we don't have the clear idea of divine, of God. So, God is nothing different like we see. Do we even completely know who God is? I'll just give you a very short, try to explain this to a small story. Once there were 4 blind men. Okay? 4 blind men wanted to see an elephant. All 4 of them went, and after they come back, they describe how an elephant looks like. The first person says that the elephant looks like a pillar. It is like a pillar. Why did he say that? He touched the legs of the elephant. The other person said, no, the elephant looks like a wall. Why? He touched his body. The other person said, are you both fools? The elephant looks like a plant. It is like a plant. Here. And the 4th blind man says, no, all of you are wrong. It looks like a rope. Tail. Okay. So who do you think is right? All? Who is wrong? But who is completely right? Who has said the complete truth? Complete truth. All of them have said the truth as per their understanding. Whatever they have perceived. But have they perceived the totality? Similarly, as we say, we have a perception of God. What is God for us? But to understand Him completely, but to understand Him totality, what do we have to become? It's only when it's only when we become God, then we can realize who God is. So, it is when the spirituality means which connects us to the divine who has all these together in intellectual, technical, everything. After going through these only we can attain the perfection which we aim at. So, as Sri Aurobindo says, India will be the leader. It will show the light to the entire world, but not mentally, not materially, but spiritually. And the time will come because right from our ancient ages we have seen there are all the major inventions and discoveries have been made in India. Now we have forgotten them. So as in the next slide you can see, Einstein, Mr. Albert Einstein says that no major discoveries could have been made if India had not taught us how to count. Where did zero originate from? From India, Aryabhatta. So there are all such inventions. It's only a fact that it's only because they were not the scientists that we looked into upon to them as. Who were the scientists of India? They were the rishis, the ancient rishis. All the major inventions, the origins have been made from India only. And where did they get the knowledge from? From Vedas. So this is what is the beauty of India. Only now we have, as Sri Aurobindo says, that now Indians have been left in tamas. You know what is tamas? Laziness, darkness. So it is for that we are not able to realize our true potential. But only when we unite ourselves with the true soul of India, with the divine within us, it's only then that we can be true Indians and India will be the spiritual leader of the world. Then the 5th dream, Sri Aurobindo says, all these things will happen not in the mind level, It will go beyond mind. Till now we have evolved from who? From which being have we evolved from? Apes, monkeys we were animals. At that time monkey thought himself to be the supreme creation. But now man thinks he is the most superior to all. Are we really perfect in everything? Is man the highest creation of God? Till now, yes, but he has reached a certain height, but he is not the highest, the supreme creation. If it had been that, then had we been locked in the room for 2 years? Who controlled us that time? A small virus, a negligible virus. So that's what Sri Aurobindo says, because now the time has come to go beyond mind. And a new world is being constructed, where a new human race will come, where not the common human beings, but human beings will go beyond mind. It is us who will evolve into the next stage in the process of evolution. That is what Sri Aurobindo says. It is from man human to man divine. And all our activities, all our works which we are doing, it will be aimed at that big aim, that greater aim. So as you said, Mansi, that first we have to be successful in life. It is successful does not mean that what we see, what we perceive as success. But it is something beyond. Successful is, the true success lies when we reach at perfection. And who is all perfect? God. When we manifest God within ourselves, within the entire earth, God will manifest. It is then that the true perfection or true aim will be achieved. So this is what Mother and Sri Aurobindo wanted to convey, that a time will come when this earth will turn into heaven. We need not go to heaven anymore. We need not do all the tapasya to go to heaven. But being here, we will work hard. Whatever we are doing, we are studying, keeping in mind that big aim, that highest aim that we have to achieve. So this is what was the vision of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, and that's what they had come on earth for. This is what we had to convey. Thank you so much. I hope you could perceive something out of this.